Hello, I'm Doug Beaver, the class of 1973 and president of the Hill Basketball Association. Today I'm joined by Bryce Allen, the tri-captain of the 2016 men's, or boys, although he is a man, boys varsity basketball team. Bryce is the son of Matt and Mona Allen of Cobleskill, New York. Bryce's dad was is a coach of the Cobleskill State University of New York system Fighting Tigers, and was a graduate of the 1995 Wofford basketball team. Bryce has two siblings, both younger, and he arrived here as a third former in 2012 and was off to a running start, gathered a lot of minutes and also played point guard. So he is one of a few that come through the school and play 4 years here. He holds a very impressive record as the all-time Hill School career wins with 66. He's also second all-time in assists and third time in steals. It's no secret Bryce will be attending Dickinson College in Pennsylvania come this fall, where he will play basketball. And I'd like to say thank you, Bryce, for joining me this afternoon and sharing some of your thoughts.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I have a few questions for you, and I'm sure you'll be candid. One of the things that I was curious about was how you heard about the Hill School and ultimately why you chose to come here as a student athlete.
I heard about the Hill School from my dad. We used to live in Emmaus, which is 45 minutes from here, when he coached at Lehigh. And I used to come to the Hill basketball camps in the summer. And we eventually moved, and the high school I was at wasn't very good at basketball. So me and my dad decided to look for schools for me to transfer to. And my dad contacted Coach Alberg, and everything else took care of itself.
Well, remarkable fit. I'm glad you made the decision to come here, and it certainly has made a large difference, clearly with 66 wins in your career. I'm glad your father was thinking about your future because you made a large difference while you were here. Could you tell me what has made your Hill career as a student athlete so special? You've done something that someone else is waiting to try and top, but what has made your time here special?
I think the connections I've made, not only with my teammates, but with coaches and faculty as well. They've just supported me through all the wins and losses, and I think that's really special.
Yeah, I guess we can focus on those 66 wins, but there were losses, and usually they were tough ones. We weren't often over the past 4 years expected to lose, but it happens. That's the game, and that's why you play it.
Yeah.
But you've won more games, as I said, than any other Hill basketball player. Can you maybe outline some of the keys to what you believe were the team's success in those years?
I think the coaching definitely was a big role, but also how close the teams were. Being at a boarding school, you're with your teammates every day, especially during the season. We grew together very quickly, and I think that translated on the court as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I've seen it having traveled to see you guys play away games. There's a camaraderie that you develop, and it's in that locker room, and it's seen on the court and on the bench, and that can carry you in the tough times. There's no doubt. But you've also had your success is also premised on playing with some very, very good players.
Yeah.
Over your 4 years, some who have stayed and played, they came in as third or fourth formers, fifth formers, as well as postgraduate students. Is there any one player that sticks out in your mind the most?
I think John Carroll. Yeah, he was he was a senior my sophomore year, and I think he really stuck out. Just the way he carried himself on the court, and his mentality really, I think, helped me mature as a player as well.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised you chose John, but his name may appear again in a couple of these questions. We'll see. Are there any other players that you recall that come to mind that had an impact or made a special, played a special role in some of your successful stories?
Adam and Seth Regensburg, they were seniors my freshman year, and I think they really brought me out of my shell. As a freshman, I was really quiet, and they really talked to me and kind of pushed me into being a leader at a young age. So I think they really had an impact on me.
I can believe that. That family, I think, sent 3 sons through here, and you were fortunate enough to play with 2 of them, and they had an attitude as well. They were not going to be stopped, and they played to the whistle, the last whistle. But it's interesting to note that you look to them to elevate your mental game to another level. I think that's a nice tribute to them, because I know that first year was probably a tough year in general. In consecutive seasons, you had, I think, better players, and that's not a slight at that freshman team, your freshman year, but that's a nice tribute to the family. Yeah. Were there any leaders that stood out among this 4-year career, aside from the role you had to have as leader on the court and point guard?
Joe Pucci sticks out to me as a leader. He was a captain of the state championship team my sophomore year, and he was a kind of lead by example guy. He wasn't very vocal, but the way he carried himself, especially off the court, I really learned from him a lot.
So he was a good role model, and my recollection of Joe was he could not have a shot the entire game and not let it bother him, yet he could stand up and knock down maybe 10 points. I mean, he was probably an exemplary captain, and he didn't have to have the ball, and when he did, he made the most of it. Yep. I think that's a good way to play the game. You have to subrogate, your game for the team's game, and you clearly have learned that over time. And you probably came with that attitude. Any particular moments that resonate with you? I'm going to ask you about a do-over moment, but positive resonation.
Definitely my sophomore year, winning Maples and States. But I mean, also, I'm very fortunate to go to the Maple Championship 3 years in a row. Right. Only winning once, but I mean, it's still special to go.
Well, we won't mention the team that you ultimately lose to, but we also know quite a bit about where they managed to find their players, and that's just the nature of the game. But there's no doubt that when the tip occurs, that you're going to get a game out of the Hill School players.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Once again, that's been a tribute to your leadership. You had the point role, certainly 3 out of the 4 years almost solely on your own. So, how about that do-over moment?
Definitely.
I can think of one, but I won't bring it up. Go ahead.
Definitely my last game.
Okay.
My last game against Germantown. I think that really hits me, because I truly believe that we should have won that game. Just some things weren't going our way, and they were hitting shots, and I think if we had another chance at them, we would beat them.
I would suggest that's probably true. It's tough to beat a team that's shooting 68%.
Yeah.
So they were having a good day. You might not have had your best, but I tend to agree with you. Were there any players on court or off court that had a particular demeanor or an attitude that you liked, or you thought maybe I could adopt some of that style into, my game? Or who I am?
Definitely John. Like I said before, the way he carried himself. I mean, he wasn't backing down from anybody, and he really had in his mind that he was better than you, and every time he stepped on the court, he was going to prove it. And I think seeing that as a sophomore, especially being on the court with him all the time, I think that really helped me and matured me a lot faster. Because I mean, he would get on me in practice sometimes, and I think he kind of pushed me a lot.
Yeah, so. I can see that, but I can also say that having watched you play, I mean, perhaps John was, you know, a critical force in that maturation, but I would watch you on occasion, and I know that you didn't like to miss a shot or miss an opportunity, and I could tell by your intensity that, you know, you stopped thinking about that, but you brought, you know, if it's possible, a little more to the next play. You were not going to be intimidated. That was clear very early in your career, at least from my perspective. And you were never going to be one that took a play off. And I think, once again, that's a tribute to you. How about an individual game? Putting you on the spot, a game that you believe your performance was, you know, as good as it could be, or you're proud of that game and what you did for your team, not necessarily yourself, but it could be yourself.
I think definitely the state championship game. That one, I mean, I came out and hit four 3-pointers right in a row, and I mean, I think that was really special. And then I think also against Petty this year, home, I think that was the most electrifying game I've been in. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was a nip and tuck. I mean, I don't think either team had more than a 3 or 4 point lead the entire time, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, certainly the state game, it probably, I'm going to suggest maybe it got in under your skin, but they were not counting on you. You weren't in the scouting report as a 3-point shooter.
No.
And they let you do it. And I knew you could make them, and you did. And that set them back, and they had to rethink their entire game plan at that moment. And I don't know what we went into the half with, but it was a double-digit lead over a team that probably hadn't seen, you know, a double-digit lead over them the entire season. So
yeah.
I can understand why that game is. You have fond memories of that game. Well, let's touch on this since you brought it up. And despite the final game of the season and losing to a team that shot 68%, you had 19 points in that game. I was privileged to be able to be in the locker room after the game. And there, you know, I don't think you would deny that you were somewhat emotional, and it's the first time I've ever seen you emotional about the game of basketball. And you know, if you're willing, what was going through your mind at that moment? You know, having just lost and realizing Hill School's uniform the last time you wear it.
I mean, it just hit me right away. I mean, for some people, some seniors, it hit them when we were in the vans, but I think it hit me as soon as I walked into the locker room that that was it. Like, and I think I couldn't hold it in. And I mean, this place has been special, and it's probably been the best decision I've made to come here. And I mean, knowing that you don't have another shot, especially going out with a loss, it was tough.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it was. And once again, given your success, but also your competitive spirit, there's no doubt. But you've had a remarkable impact. We have, I believe, 8 returning players from the varsity, and we have quite a number of very talented JV players that'll step up. What might you offer them as advice on your way out the door?
I mean, definitely have fun with it. I mean, the competitiveness they all have, the skill they all have, it goes by fast. So, I mean, I definitely had the most fun these past 4 years, and I would tell them just to have fun because it does go by fast. Yeah.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. You know, go out and play like you're having fun. Have fun playing, and you know, from the NBA level on down, I mean, those words are used. You know, just like you were out in the playground. You know, be intense and play to have fun, and then everything else seems to follow from that. But I think that's great advice for them because it is a talented group. I hope they have the role models that you did, and we will see. We can't predict the future, so we'll see what happens. Can you give me some sense of what went into your decision making on Dickinson? I mean, I'm going to suggest that maybe you're going to be playing right off the bat again as a freshman, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I definitely have the opportunity to. I mean, I just felt comfortable with Coach Soretti, and he had been recruiting me since the fall of this year, or last year. But I mean, when I went on my visit, I definitely felt comfortable there, and I kind of got the same feel there as I do here.
Okay.
So I thought that was really, really special, and something I wanted to be a part of again.
Well, I thank you. There's no doubt that your play here for 4 years, your point guard skills, and your leadership are going to be very sorely missed. Those roles are going to have to be filled, and only time will tell how well they're filled. You know, I don't tend to speak on behalf of coaches, but I know that coaches Eilberg and Canosa, as well as all those people that used to cheer you on in the spectator section, are going to truly miss you. But you are part of the Hill community, and I guess on behalf of the Hill basketball family and our association of alumni basketball players, I really would like to thank you for your unrelenting effort, which was clear every time you stepped on the court, and the way you represented the school, which I think is much more important. The school, your family, you know, you brought your game and you left it all out here, and whatever problem or anger or, you know, disappointment you had left the court with you, and it's, you know, it was yours to deal with, and you didn't, as we say, act up. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and more importantly, the best of luck to you. And remember, you're always welcome back to play in our alumni game. Thank you, Bryce.
Thank you for having me.